Hello, lovely Caroline.
Hi, it's Caroline from Riverside Crafts. Thanks for joining me again today after last week. I'm holding a box because this is our subscription box for our craft box, which will be launching or pre-launching on Monday. So keep an eye out on our social media. There will be obviously an email going out again. It will be a limited stock one, so you will need to grab it quickly. We will give you a teaser just so you can see a little bit of what's inside it, but we're not going to give too much away for you. So yes, get this pre-ordered. Keep an eye out on social media. So this week I thought we would do another Christmas card. This one's going to cover a few different techniques. We are going to do heat embossing. We're going to be using a bow maker as well. So something I absolutely love. We're going to be decorating our bells. I don't know if you can see the bells on my card. I'm sure you will when we get close up, but I've got my technical director again in front of me. Donna's doing all the phone handling. Yeah, so I've actually heat embossed the bells as well, so it ties it in with the card.
Oh, that's lovely. I didn't know that's what you'd done.
You see.
I should watch your demo.
You should do, Donna, because we don't have white bells.
No.
So I'm using the heat gun and I'll be using a glue gun as well. I'm going to let Donna bring the camera in. I'm going to stand up and then we'll start crafting. Pull my trousers down.
Get organised. Right. So that's on your mat there.
Lovely. Thank you. Perfect. So I did notice, I watched back the Facebook Live from last week and everything was upside down. We're hoping that we've changed the setup so that it'll be facing the right way. However, I can just about see what I'm doing, so I'll show you the card. Ooh, it goes this way. There we go, that's nice. So little white bells that I've heat embossed. The bow's been done on the bow maker using the red and white twine, and then it's a chalkboard style. Now the stamps I'm using are the stamps that I used last week on my Facebook Live, so make sure you saw that one. Oh, I'll just come back this way again. And this stamp set is one that we have had in, we've still got in, it is on our website. And I love it. I think it's really trendy. It's an on-trend font, and I thought that this card works really well with the style. Okay, now we're just going to start with the heat embossing. I haven't cut my cardstock down. Oh, here we go again. Always think I'm organised, but I never am. I'm just going to grab my ruler so I've got a rough idea of what size my cardstock needs to be. So I'm measuring this one 11 by 12, but I'm not going to cut it down quite as small as that because we end up making mistakes if we do it too perfect. So back to the guillotine. Remember, lip on a guillotine, always a lip on a guillotine or a trimmer, whichever brand you've got. Card in, butt up against there to give you a nice straight edge. Hold your tabs straight down. And I'm just going to use the half of the piece of the card to do my stamping on. I'm going to grab my stamping platform. Good old stamping platform. Of course, if you haven't got a stamping platform, you can use an acrylic block. Oops. And then now this is where I've been naughty. I've used double-sided tape to hold a stamp in place that's lost its cling. I'll just remove that because otherwise that'll end up sticking to everything else. I'm going to pop my cardstock in place, and then I'm going to talk to you about the ink that I'm going to use. So I'm embossing white using white embossing powder, Cosmic Shimmer. Again, it's all on our website. It's a detail embossing powder, so because I'm using words, the lines are quite fine in the stamp, and the detail embossing powder is finer granules, so it will stick to those lines a lot better and give you a clearer, crisp image. And this is the true white detail embossing powder. And then I'm using Versamark. Now this, I've had this for I don't know how many years. I've been here probably, I don't know, but I've had this for donkey's years. It's a clear ink pad. It's not clear anymore, it's filthy, but it doesn't matter. The ink it will still come up clear. It's a glycerine-based ink pad, so it's got no colour to it. But if you were to stamp onto, say, black card, which obviously I'm going to do in a minute, and you'll see, it watermarks where you stamped. So if you imagine a piece of paper, a nice good quality piece of paper, you can see that watermark inside it. Well, this is what this does. It just gives you that faint image. So it's clear, it's got no colour to it. It's also very slow drying, so it makes it perfect for heat embossing. So I'm going to remove my stamp and I'm going for the big one. I brought the big one, so I'm just taking it off like so. Can we see properly? Because I feel like we're too up this way. And I'm going to place it down where I would like it on my card. I don't know if you can see where the card ends, so I'm just towards the left hand side. So I'm facing my stamp down for a minute while I position it, and then I'm going to lift it back up once I've stamped it. Close the door. So ink pad. Now you'll feel if you've got Versamark or you need it, again it's all on our website, it's quite sticky, not like a normal ink pad where you tap it and it's quite hard. This is quite a soft, I don't know if you can hear that, but it's very sticky. So I'm just tapping over. Obviously you can't see where you've stamped or inked and whether or not you've covered it. 9 times out of 10 you've pretty much covered it because we tend to overdo it. But then again, the beauty of the stamping platform is that if you do miss part of your stamp, you can go back and repeat it. So I'm just pressing down and I am going to go over each part of my stamp. And you can hear it. Right, now I'm hoping I can see it, but I'm hoping you can see it, and I don't know. There we go. Can you just see that? Very, very faint on that. Hi, Lisa. We're missing you too. I'm glad you've come on here. Okay, so to make this stand out, we now need to add our embossing powder. Now, in typical Caroline style, I've forgotten a really important step when you're heat embossing. I knew I would. I had it all lined up, but I knew I'd go wrong. Anti-static mat. The idea is a little bag of powder, and the idea is that you rub it over the piece of card that you want to stamp onto and that you want to heat emboss onto, because we all get a bit sweaty, don't we, and we get oil, natural oils come out of our skin, and if we touch the piece of card that we plan to stamp on, what happens is the fine embossing powder will stick to where you've touched it. And the idea of the anti-static bag is to remove any kind of residue that's on your cardstock. But I've forgotten it, so there we go. We'll just wing it and see whether it works or not. I'm sure it will. So, detail embossing powder, true white. I've got a piece of paper on my glass mat, so prepared already, and I'm going to throw my embossing powder on, and I'm not going to be shy about it. I'm not going to worry. I'm down one end, can you see that? And then I'm going to tip it, and it will stick to where I've stamped it. Now, can you see all the residue around here? That's where I probably should have had my anti-static bag. But if you turn it over and just flick it, it pretty much comes off. Now you can either use a paintbrush or a makeup brush, just a nice soft brush just to wipe off any excess, which I've done around there. Okay, pop that to one side and make it a habit to put your embossing powder back in your jar before you heat emboss, because believe me, chances are you'll put your heat gun on, you'll forget you've not put that away, and you'll end up melting that. Now I just want to show you as well, it's probably quite embarrassing, I probably shouldn't show you, but all the grit and rubbish inside my embossing powder. It doesn't seem to make a difference to the powder, that probably just doesn't stick to the what you call it, Versamark. So it doesn't bother me. I'm not going to sit there and pick it out, that's for sure. Right, I'm now going to be putting my heat gun on, so I won't be able to talk for a minute, but I'm going to talk before I put it on. Now there's two ways you can heat emboss. You can heat from the top and you can heat from underneath. When I'm using words or when I'm embossing words, I heat from underneath, because what happens is, because it's such fine detail, you could blow that powder off before it starts heating. So I start by heating underneath and then I do a finish over the top. I always recommend when I'm teaching heat embossing that you turn your gun on away from your project, because it has to get to temperature before it can start to melt the embossing powder. If you were to go straight on here, switch it on, this is cold, it's going to blow off your embossing powder, probably only a little bit, but it will blow the embossing powder away. So just to one side, heat your gun up, try not to look into it, but you'll see like it heats up, you get like a red glow. Then, and I do just put my hand not too close to it, but you can feel the heat coming from it. And then I will lift my piece up and I will emboss from the bottom. It's going to take probably 30 seconds or so for it to start working, probably a little bit quicker. You can't use a heat gun, hairdryer, because a hairdryer blows warm air. It doesn't give you that intensity that you need to melt embossing powder. If you were to use a hairdryer, you'll probably end up with no embossing powder left on your project. Okay, now I am working on a glass mat, because if I was to heat from this direction, then I want that to protect my work surface as well. Is there anything else? You'll notice that the card will warp too. I'm going to turn my heat gun on. You might still be able to hear me if I talk loud enough. Okay, and then I'm going to take it underneath. So I don't want to point it up because I might burn the camera. Yeah, that's got some heat to it now. So I'm going to aim it, and I'm not too close to it. Can you see? I'm probably, I don't know, about 10 centimetres, a couple of inches away. And I'm just going, and you'll see, I'm hoping that you'll see where Christmas is starting to turn shiny. I'm just going to follow the pattern, and you'll know when the gun is hot enough, because it speeds up quickly. The heating process, the melting process gets a little bit quicker. I keep on going the wrong angle, don't I, with the gun? Okay, so I'm happy that I've got the majority of it. I'm just going to come over the front now. And I know that the gun's hot enough, so I can just come a little bit closer. So can we see that? Can we see how that's changed and it's gone shiny? It's so pretty. So pretty, so pretty, so pretty. I've just got to check now. You'll know if it's not all embossed, because it'll still be a duller version of the shiny version, obviously. Okay, I'm really happy with that. So I'm just going to leave that to one side. Now you can see that the card has warped. Okay, I'm not too worried, because I'm going to put double-sided tape right around the edges. I'm just going to, sometimes you can just straighten it back out again by reheating the card, but it's not going to work because it's taken too long. Okay, I'm going to move on to my bells whilst I've got the heat gun out. I've lost my favourite pokey tool, so I'm going to have to use my bent pokey tool. I don't know if you can see that, but it still does the same thing. Okay, so to do your bells, so I've just got silver bells and I wanted them to be white. I'm just going to roll it in my Versamark, and then I'm going to thread it into my pokey tool and then roll it around in my powder. Okay, you will get some powder inside, so as much as you can get off would be better, but if not, it's going to melt. So there's one, and then I'll do the same for the other one, and then I will heat emboss them, because they may just take a little bit longer to dry because of the fact that they're on metal. This is sticky. Versamark is sticky. I used to do rub chalk into my Versamark, so I'd stamp an image, and I remember doing trees. I had a beautiful tree stamp, and I stamped it Versamark and then used chalk. And then a few months later, I was showing a customer the technique, and I went back to the same work, the same tree, and I rubbed in even more chalk, and it took it. The Versamark was still tacky, but I hadn't heat embossed it, so that's probably why. Okay, so I'm now going to just heat my bells. That sounds funny. one didn't take too long. And I'll pick my other one up. Now, obviously, I'm doing them on my pokey tool because I don't want to burn my fingers. And you can see it just change from a powder, almost like a paint. Okay, so that's that. That's my bells done. Can you see them? Oh, it's gone blurry. Okay, beautiful. Now they are, can you see? There you go, let's just come off on my fingers. So I'm just going to leave them to one side to dry. When I did this the first time round, I held on to them for a little bit longer. Oh, one's stuck. Okay, so I'm going to pop them there. And then I'm going to show you the bow maker. So we've got these in stock. They are on our website, but I think they come pink now. Not sure why. Look, it looks like Tippex. Oh, I wonder if it is Tippex. I've got some red and white twine, and I've taken probably the length of my glass mat, maybe a little bit more. I'm just going to snip off a piece of my twine, and then I'm going to fold it in half. Now, if you haven't got a bow maker, oh my goodness, what have you been doing? So I've got it folded in half, doesn't matter which end the folded part is, and I've placed my pins in like the third and the sixth hole. You do get another 2 pins with it, so you can go even smaller. You can do the tiny little bows if you want to, but I've gone sort of like a medium size one, and I'm going to be doing a double one because I've doubled my thread. I'm going to wrap them round, and then I'm doing left over right, and then I'm taking the left through to the back. I hope that comes up quite clearly. I'll do that again. Oh, and you're also watching me the other way, aren't you, today? So I've got my 4 bits coming out, left over right. It's a bit like doing your shoelaces. And then I'm going to take this piece under and through to the back. I've made it fiddly because I've got a short piece of string. Obviously you can use whichever length. Just give it a little bit of a pull, and then I'm going to bring that back over, and then I'm going to tie a knot. Do removing that bit of paper. So that comes through. If you get this right first time copying me, you're amazing. And I'm going to pull it tight. And then you just lift that off, and there you have just, oh, I missed you, the cutest bow ever. And of course, you can carry on repeating the same process, and your bows will be exactly the same every time. And I'm just going to snip that loop like so. Okay, right, excuse me a second, I just need to plug my glue gun in. And then we'll start compiling the card. So I've got my card blank, 6x6 card blank. Just fold it along the score line. Use my bone folder. I'm going to move them out of the way. Let's pop them over there for a minute. So I've got my score line. I'm just going to trim my card, my stamped sentiment down. Maybe. Yeah, that's okay. So you can see now how warped that has gone. But don't worry. Now, if you managed to watch me last week, I made an absolute pig's ear of all my double-sided tape. But this time, I really need to make sure I get it right to the edge, because that's what will hold my card flat on my card blank. I've been looking forward to making this card today with you all. I just love it. I wonder if anybody else is crafting as well whilst they're watching me. Or you've muted me. And I'm also going to just pop a couple of strips in the middle just to help it stay as well. Okay, right, I'll get me bent pokey tool, hopefully it'll work. So I'm going to peel off all of these. I'll do those two, but I'll do my little leggy technique again. So I just peel back a little bit. I'm not removing the whole of the back of the tape. Just peeling it back a little bit. I'm sticking to the one on the inside. There we go, like so. And then doesn't help having a bent pokey tool, I have to say. Okay, so I haven't exposed all my tapes. It will just give me a couple of seconds to line this up on my card blank before I put any pressure on it to stick it down, so I can get it all nicely lined up. Okay, and then I can start pulling them out, and then I'm going to try and just so it straightens it. There we go, lovely. Lovely, lovely. Okay, so there we go. So that's giving you the card blank on there. Now, to attach the bow, I've actually made that a little bit higher, haven't I? Oh, I've put more space down there than I have at the top. That'll teach me to check. I don't think there is anything in the adhesive world that can attach things like this as well as a glue gun. If you haven't got a glue gun in your life, then I really think you need to get one. Put it on your Christmas list. We've got them on the website. We've got all the glue sticks as well. When it comes to sticking things instantly, a glue gun is just the best thing. So I'm just going to let mine warm up. I'm going to go onto the back of my bow, give it a bit of a twirl, get rid of any excess, and then straight down. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same with the bells. When I made this card up, I was trying to string the bells on so they were hanging and dangling, and oh my goodness, I just got in such a mess. So I just thought I would stick them on with the glue gun as well. So a little bit of glue either side of the straight in. You've just sat watching me pick my fingers then of all this white stuff, haven't you? I didn't realise you could see. I do apologise. And then last bit there. We've just added some new bells to our website as well. And then you can position that wherever you want. That was a bit messy, a bit too much glue on that one actually. And there we go. Your bells are not going to move. Can you see that? So why are you upside down to me? Ah, it's Princess Anne on there. Hi, Princess Anne. Lovely. And then the last thing are some sequins, just to give it a little bit more bling. And then you can put these wherever you want to put these. I'm just going to randomly put my glue on first and then pick my sequins up. So I could do with my tweezers. And there we go. So get all your stamping done, do it all at once, get all your bows made, get all your bells decorated, and you've got yourself a whole host of beautiful, very professional looking, like they've been printed professionally, Christmas cards. Oh, I love it. I'm going to do it that way as well because I don't know which way you're all facing. Lovely. Thanks for joining me. See you again soon. Take care. Bye.